Hi, it's Sandy Wiley. In today's video, we're going to talk about sociopaths. So, sociopaths is an antisocial personality disorder. It's where people don't have a clue to what's right or wrong. So, they don't care about the law. They are above the law. They have no morals. Um, there's two people in the news, and they're both named Bryans. Brian Walsh, the Cohasset, Massachusetts guy who misled the police. His wife is missing. She's been missing since um, New Year's Day. And that's close to home because that's Massachusetts. And Brian, what's his name? I keep mispronouncing it. Koberger. That's the Idaho killer who killed those college roommates, those 4 people. Well, he's suspected of it anyway. And then you might be asking yourself, well, I could just read this stuff, on the news. Why are you talking about it? Well, because I was related to a sociopath. My cousin Stephen was a sociopath. He had no regard for right or wrong. He was above the law. He had no conscience. A sociopath doesn't have a conscience. Google him. Okay, I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link below, right? I want you to Google him. I want you to click the link below because he's my first cousin. I grew up in the same house with him. He was all over the news, okay? He was the leader of a very big Ponzi scheme. He was a multi-billionaire. Not on his own, from stealing other people's money. He had this group above his an ice cream parlor that he purchased called Viking Insurance. It was a scam. He was a scam artist. He took people's monies and he said he could like double, triple the profit, and people gave him, doctors, lawyers gave him their whole life savings, like millions of dollars. And what did he do? He jet set all around the world. He had private jets. He was a millionaire, okay? By scamming other people. Not by earning money. He didn't work. He worked people over. So the reason why I'm doing a video on it is because I grew up with a sociopath personally. I lived in the same house as him. So I'm going to tell you like what I know about him from a personal viewpoint, where other people, I could just go on and talk about other sociopaths like Ted Bundy and everything, and I can just read off the news as well as you can, right? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what it was like living with a sociopath. So I'm going to give you the warning signs because I lived with him. My grandfather, Angelo Palladino, owned several houses. He owned this house, and my father rented the bottom. It was a 2-family. And then his brother Philly rented the top. Now, Philly's wife, Stephen's mother, biological mother, died of breast cancer when he was very young. They said I was very close to Stephen's mother. That would be my aunt. But her name was Josie. I don't remember her, though. I must have been way too young to remember her. They said I climbed in bed with her, and I don't remember. So Stephen lost his mother pretty young. I think he was under 12. And then his father, Philly, who lived upstairs, married a woman named Marie, and she had 3 daughters. One of them was mentally disabled, like my son, Alex. But the other 2, Marianne and Sandra, they, there's quite a story there. I don't know the whole thing. But it was like she was the evil stepmother, and she had the 2 evil stepdaughters. And Stephen I don't know. He didn't fit in that schema. So he moved 2 houses over to where my grandfather lived, Angelo Palladino, who owned that house. And he owned another house. And in that house lived my father's mother, his second wife, because his first wife, you got to read my book. I'll give you the link to it because I don't want to go into detail about my whole family and my father's family. I'll give you the link to my book, Life of My Schizophrenic Father. So that, because I'm wasting too much time and I'm going off track here. I don't want to go off track. The whole point of this video is to tell you what it's like living with a sociopath. So anyway, let's just get back to that, and I'll leave you the links below so you can look up that stuff if you want to. Stephen was like 8 years older than me, so he was like a big brother. I was an only child, and he was an only child. And he hated his stepmother, Marie, Philly's second wife. And I hated my mother, Edith. And he was like a normal guy, teenager, growing up. He had girlfriends. He had hobbies. I think he played Little League because I saw all the trophies in his room. Yeah, he had friends. You could never tell that anything was wrong, except that he had a traumatic childhood. He couldn't live in the same house with his stepmother, like that. But he seemed very friendly, very kind. I mean, he used to tease me and call me Shrimp, and I used to call him Punk. Those are our nicknames for each other. But yeah, he teased me like a big brother would tease a kid sister, right? He's 8 years older than me. We live in the same house. I'm downstairs, he's up top. I saw him, I saw his girlfriends. I saw his first girlfriend, Rose, when I was over at my grandmother's house, 2 houses over. And he used to live there because he couldn't stand living with his stepmother. And completely normal. I think he even went to a year or 2 of college, but he did drop out. So I think it's when he turned to an adult that shadiness or shady things were going down with him. I think that once he tasted a little power, and he equated money with power. Money could get him all the finer things in life that he didn't have. And some people that's what I saw in him. That's what I'm telling you I saw in him growing up. That I think once he got a taste of like the good life and what money could do, then it just went all south for him. Then he just like changed, You know how they say money is the root of all evil? Well, it was for him. Once he got a taste of that green stuff, then he just, he didn't care. I mean, he would just charm his way into the hearts of people. So that's one of the things that I learned about sociopaths from my cousin is they're great charmers. They can charm the panties off of a nun. They're really great charmers. They pretend to have an interest in you. They act like they're interested in you, but they have no conscience. They'll just take whatever they can for you and then just drop you like a sack of potatoes. But growing up, I couldn't see that. Growing up, he seemed like a normal guy, until he got older. And like I said, money is the root of all evil. Until he got a little taste of money and what money could do. I think and that's when he took people's money and cheated on his wife, and his first wife cheated on his second wife, and just wanted to, whatever he wanted, he didn't care. If he wanted it, it didn't matter who he was taking it from, whether it was legal or not legal, or if he was hurting anyone for doing it, he just didn't care, At that point, it was just like all for him. You want to know about the minds of someone like that. you know, what goes on in their mind. I visited him in jail. He had a 10-year jail sentence. Unfortunately, he never made it because he died. Yeah, he died. He got cancer. So he died before he was going to be, you know, out of jail. I did visit him in jail, and I tried to talk about his childhood, being like the shrink-like mind, you know, and he just said like it was really horrid. You know, he would never want to talk about that. But he did put on like this, you know, positive persona when I visit him in jail. Oh, I'm gonna do good in here. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna set a good example. I'm gonna be out of here in no time. That's what it is. They have this arrogance, like this. He had like this arrogance that, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out on good behavior. I'm gonna set a good example. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. See, and I think that's what he didn't have any remorse. He just had arrogance, like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna. I think it's that arrogance that like whitewashes everything. Like he thinks like he's like omnipotent, like godlike. Like he can do no wrong. That's one of the things I noticed blatantly in him. He had this omnipotence that he was like God, that he had the power. He could do no wrong. He was going to beat this. Even when he's in prison for 10-year sentence. He's a 10-year sentence. He goes, oh, I'm going to get out in a couple of years. I'm going to, you know, I'll show them. I'll be on my best behavior, da, da, da. He believed it. He believed it, you know. That's why I think they're not afraid. That's another thing sociopaths have. They are not afraid. You know, if you and me, we do something like we're afraid. Like if a person steals something, right? They're going to be afraid. I'm going to get caught. I'm going to get caught. You know, someone like a sociopath, I'm not going to get, they'll never catch me. Are you kidding? No fear. That's the thing. He had no fear. He had this arrogance that he'll never get caught. And even when he was caught, oh, I'll get out of it. Can you believe it? With a 10-year sentence, he's sitting there saying, I'll get out on good behavior. No problem. So I just think they have this, you know, arrogance and lack of fear. That's really scary. When someone has a lack of fear, if they have no fear at all, right? Just picture yourself, okay? If you have zero fear, then you're not afraid to do anything, right? Whatever it is. You think that's a good thing. Oh man, I wish I was like that. I wish I had no fear. I wish I wasn't afraid to do anything. That would help me. But it doesn't when it's things that are morally wrong. When you're hurting other people, they have no fear at all. See? That's your sociopath. That's how he was. He didn't have any fear. He thought he'd never get caught. So it's not a good thing not to have fear. Okay? Courage is what helps you go through things even when you have fear. Courage is not a lack of fear, you know? Courage is what makes you be able to do the thing you're afraid of, even though you're scared shit, right? But lack of fear, having no fear, there's something wrong with someone like that, right? Think about it. If you had no fear, you know, if I had no fear, I wouldn't even, you know, look both ways crossing the street. I got no fear. I don't worry about getting run down. I just walk wherever I want to walk. Hey, I'm walking here, like Dustin Hoffman said, right? Midnight Cowboy, I'm walking here. Yeah, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care about anything. Why would it matter? I'm fearless. So see, it's not, fear is good to have. Fear prevents you from doing some dangerous things, foolish things, right? Things that aren't good for your health. If I had no fear, I'd say, yeah, I'm going to drink a whole bottle of vodka. I'm not worried about alcohol poisoning. Hey! Not me. Don't you say I'm immortal? So lack of fear is not healthy. Let's put it that way. And that's a big thing I saw in my cousin. Lack of fear. So that's another thing in sociopaths. that arrogance, that lack of fear, you know, that thinking that they're above everything, they're above the law. Okay, um, yeah. If you see someone who has no fear, run, 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 run. Okay, because you, it's healthy to have a little fear. It's what saves you. You gotta. If you didn't have any fear, like I said, you would you would end up dead tomorrow because you would be reckless. You'd have no fear what you're doing, right? You would just go across the street without looking. You would drink or, you know, um, take drugs or whatever as much. You wouldn't limit yourself. There'd be no limits because there's no fear. Fear puts limits on you, right? You wouldn't have any limits. My cousin had no limits, right? He would just keep taking more and more people's money and just going off because he was a gambler. My father was a gambler too. Um, and he would just keep gambling in casinos in all over the world, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, Vegas, off other people's money. So the big red flag is if you see someone who has no fear, watch out. If you see someone who's a charmer, watch out. If you see someone who's completely arrogant and think they're above everything, watch out, because no one is above everything. Okay, so those are the signs to watch out for. Those are the signs I saw in my cousin. I live with a sociopath, so I know they can be charming, but I also know those other, traits and qualities I told you about that you have to look out for. All right, take care and click on the links below.